All right, I think we're going to start. Does everybody hear me? Do you understand me? We'd like to. We hear you now, right? We'd like to thank everybody coming. We know the weather has been an issue from last night, this morning. Sun is out, and we appreciate everybody coming to honor our veterans, especially the 250-year birthday of the United States Marine Corps. Welcome to Charles George VA Medical Center. I am Allan, the chairman of the Buncombe County Veterans Council. I will be your master of ceremonies today. This Veterans Day ceremony is sponsored by Charles George VA Medical Center and Buncombe County Veterans Council and the city of Asheville. I would like to take this opportunity to honor and recognize Gold Star family members in the audience. Can you please stand? Thank you. Today we're recognizing the service of all veterans in peacetime and war, but especially today, the 50-year commemoration of the end of the Vietnam War concludes today. Let us honor their service and welcome them home. I would like to take a moment of silence for those who have fallen serving our country and for those in harm's way around the globe. Thank you. We now invite you to rise and remain standing for the presentation of colors by the American Legion Post 317, Marshall, North Carolina, followed by the singing of the national anthem by Men in Harmony, and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Steve Henderson, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam veteran, president, and brothers and sisters like these, veteran writing group. Present colors.
you're able to, please remain standing. We're getting ready to say Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may sit down. Would like to acknowledge a few people in the audience. Our beloved acting director, Joanna Weber, who keeps us alive to keep on doing what we do in Western North Carolina. She's back there. Thank you, Joanna, Craig, and the staff. Also, a supporter of us, the city of Asheville, we have Esther Manheimer, the mayor. We have Kim Roney, the city council, and Jade Dundas, the assistant city manager. Thank you for attending. We will have welcoming remarks by Craig Holbert, Associate Director, Assistant Executive Director Charles George, United States Army, Afghanistan, Iraq, I believe. Craig Holbert.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is an honor to stand before you today in the presence of those who have served our country with courage, dedication, and sacrifice. Veterans Day is more than a date on the calendar. It is a moment for us to pause, reflect, and express our deep gratitude for the men and women who have worn the uniform and carry the weight of protecting our freedoms. Here at the Western North Carolina VA healthcare system, our mission is simple but profound: to serve our veterans, yet serving is never simple. It is a commitment to listen, to understand, and to respond to the needs of those who have given so much for our country. Every day I see the importance of listening, truly listening, to our veterans' stories, concerns, and hopes. It is in those conversations that we honor them the most fully we can. Veterans, your service is immeasurable. The sacrifices you have made, leaving home, facing danger, enduring long separations from loved ones, cannot be summed up in words or ceremonies. Still, we gather here today to do what we can to acknowledge, to thank, and to pledge that your contributions will never be forgotten. It is not only the battles fought or medals earned that define your service. It is also the courage, the resilience, and the quiet determination you have shown in returning home, raising families, contributing to communities, and continuing serving in new ways. Your strength inspires all of us in this room and beyond. As we honor you today, we also want to honor your families who have shared in that sacrifice, the worry, the endurance. They are a vital part of the story of service, often silent yet steadfast in their support for you. To my colleagues here at the VA and across the nation, let this Veterans Day be a reminder of our responsibility, not only to provide excellent care, but to approach each interaction with empathy, respect, and humility. Let us remember that listening is as important as acting, that understanding a veteran's experience is critical to delivering service to the veteran. Veterans, we promise to keep the faith with you. We pledge to continue improving our care, to ensure your voices are heard, and to honor the trust you have placed in us. Your service has shaped us and our nation. Your stories, your courage, your sacrifice guide us in our work every single day. On this Veterans Day, let us not only say thank you, but show it in every choice we make. You have given so much for us, and it is our duty and our privilege to serve you in return. To all of you here today, thank you for your service, thank you for your courage, and thank you for allowing us to honor of standing with you with gratitude, respect, and admiration.
Thank you, Craig. And as a veteran, we appreciate the quality of the care that we receive here. We're number one in the nation, and number one with customer satisfaction. Thanks. Next, we'll have post 9/11 remarks by Erika Andresen, Major United States Army who served in Afghanistan.
Good morning. So I'm representing the post 9/11 generation. It's funny because I'm from New York City. I was there that day, but that's a story for another time. But in no other time in my lifetime, aside from the patriotism I saw for the first Gulf War, did I see more American flags everywhere. Frankly, the days, weeks, and months after 9/11. That event stirred something in me, but that's not why I joined. It took me another 10 years to join. We all have different reasons for joining: tradition, pride, duty, obligation, a way out, a way ahead. For me, it was a desire to be of service with my skill set. I was a corporate lawyer. I never loved it. It was okay. And sometimes it wasn't okay. And when it wasn't, I was doing pro bono work for veterans. And I felt for the first time in my life that I was using my degree for something worthwhile and something meaningful. I wanted more, and the only way to get that was to go in under the terms I felt were good to me and join the active duty JAG Corps. But I had a hard time hearing, "Thank you for your service." For the first year and change, I didn't know how to respond. "You're welcome. Thanks, but I haven't really done anything." I had a reverence for veterans before I joined, and suddenly I was one, but I didn't feel that I had earned it. Not when I was helping my clients and legal assistants get money back from their terrible landlords. Not when I was briefing soldiers on their rights to legal help. It wound up being during a debate at a college football game with a young collegiate who was very adamant about the justice system. And I challenged her and asked her what was she going to do to effectuate change. She was not happy with that question, so she yelled at me, "Well, what have you done?" I said, "I took a $70,000 pay cut and joined the Army, but I used much more colorful language than I use here today." You see, I didn't grasp that I did something that over 98% of the population had not done and will not do. Same as you all here. I was a force multiplier in helping others, taking care of things so they worried less and were able to focus on the mission. No matter what any of you have done as an MOS, thousands of miracles need to happen to make any singular aspect of a mission a success. Success downrange doesn't happen if the screws aren't screwed in right or the fuel isn't delivered. Every one of us had a part in making bigger things happen. Then I deployed and got to see the ends of the means of everyone in garrison and use the skill set I was trained to do. It all matters. Aside from being thanked for my service, I have gratitude for my service. I was rewarded with experiences across this beautiful country, all climates, environs, and cultures, living in Virginia, Missouri, Washington State, Massachusetts, and Texas, knocking off more than one bucket list item for many people, a cross-country move, which we call a PCS, or just a really long TDY. I was also rewarded with bonds from the people I served with, the civilians I lived amongst, and soldiers from other countries that I was deployed with, who I still speak to every single month. But not all of it was perfect. Some of it was downright ugly. People, experiences, leadership. You don't need to deploy to have PTSD. I have 2 versions of it. I talk about it openly. I look fine, and by all measures, I am a successful person. And I've even had people scoff when I said that I have PTSD. So it is truly an invisible wound. I struggle, and yet I thrive. And I can only thrive because I actively seek treatment to grow my toolbox and my supporters. I can confidently say that I left my foxhole better than I found it because I never forgot what it was that made me want to serve. And I continue to make my foxhole better by showing up for myself and my fellow veterans, being an advocate for mental health, and supporting them in their journey in group therapy, which I go to. Bonus, I have new friends because of it. When you hear that the veteran to your left and to your right has had the same thoughts that you have, that you never thought anybody else would, it actually brings you joy because you know you're not alone. We are an extraordinary group of people who have raised our hand to serve, out of desire, out of necessity, it doesn't matter. Our contributions, big and small, were valuable, and we are heroes. So let me say, as a veteran to all of you veterans, I am proud I get to stand in front of you today, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your service, your sacrifice, and the bond that we share. Thank you.
Thank you, Erika. You are our future. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're honored today to have as our keynote speaker John Mason, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam veteran, Bronze Star Medal with V, Purple Heart recipient ×2, and one who has committed his life to the veteran community in Western North Carolina. It's my honor to present John Mason.
Thank you, Allan. Madam Director, Madam Mayor, Madam Councilman, person. Erika, you are a lawyer that became a soldier. I was a Marine that became a lawyer. I don't know who is smarter. When I was a junior in college, Vietnam was getting heated up. I felt like there were younger men that were doing the job that I was supposed to do fighting in Vietnam. I wanted to join the service, but I also wanted to finish college. And for some reason, I did not want to be in the Army. I wanted to be in the Navy. My brother was a naval aviator. So I cut class one day. I went to the recruiter in Charlotte. I knocked on the door, walked in, and told the recruiter that I was interested in the Naval Pre-Flight Program. He asked me where I went to college. I said, Davidson College. He said, Davidson, you need to go to the recruiter in Raleigh. I thanked him. I went back to school. I waited a week or so and hitched another ride to Raleigh. I walked to the post office on Fayetteville Street, walked into the Navy recruiter, and told the recruiter, sir, my name is John Mason. I'm a junior in college, and I'm interested in the free flight program. He said, Davidson, where is Davidson? I said, well, it's about 20 miles north of Charlotte. He said, Charlotte, you need to go to the recruiter in Charlotte. This venue prevents me from saying the exact words that I was saying under my breath. I walked around the corner. There was a Marine recruiter. I walked into the recruiting office. I took a test. I was congratulated on my score. And I joined the United States Marine Corps. I have never regretted that day. The curious thing about it, and the serendipitous part of being a veteran, is that my recruiting officer was Captain Carl Mundy. Some of you will know Captain Mundy. He was later General Mundy. He grew up in Waynesville, and he swore me in to the United States Marine Corps. I served as a rifle platoon commander in Vietnam for about 8 months. I was hit a couple of times. The second time, medevaced out of country and spent my last 6 months in service in hospital. Now, the speech. Years ago, from my law office on the 9th floor of the BB&T building overlooking Pack Square here in Asheville, there were people, tourists mostly, who would quizzically look at a monument at the base of the Vance obelisk. The monument was made of granite and concrete with 2 large iron rings embedded in the concrete. There was a bronze plaque which read, captured at 9 a.m. on November 11th, 1918, after heavy fighting in Verdun, France, by Company I of the 321st U.S. Infantry. Onlookers would look at this, look at the obelisk, look at the rings, look at the obelisk, and I am sure wonder what in the hell Company I was doing capturing these iron rings. Or did they capture the obelisk? It was an enigma. When I first saw it, what struck me about it is the time of day, 9 a.m. It's the only monument I've ever seen that noted the time of day. Have any of you ever seen a monument that noted the time of day? Well, you know why it was 9 a.m., don't you? Because the armistice was effective at 11 a.m., 2 hours later. The armistice had been signed, the hostilities would end, and I thought about those troops that were doing the heavy assaulting those 2 hours before the armistice. What were they thinking? There were 75 of them there were 15 of them that were killed. There were over 47 of them wounded. They were doing their duty. Was it necessary? All of us have thought about war. Was it necessary? Is it necessary? To the French, their death would be c'est la guerre. It is the war. Unfortunately, the assault may well have been necessary because the armistice did not come about until the 11 o'clock, and fighting continued for 2 or 3 days after that in sporadic areas. And the higher-ups in the Army believed that it was necessary to continue to wage war during this interim gap of a few hours before the armistice took place, lest the Germans renege on the armistice. I mentioned the canon as it relates to the World War and Armistice Day, which was first celebrated in 1919. It was a tribute to those who served in the war. It became a national holiday in the United States in 1938, and in 1954, when I was a little boy, it was renamed Veterans Day to celebrate all veterans who have served in the uniform of our nation's armed forces. The canon itself is also a metaphor of sorts for confusion. It was brought about by a couple of Asheville doughboys who actually dismantled it in France and snuck it into the United States, gave it to the city as a memorial. Where to put it? Should it be a memorial? Should it be placed in Pack Square? All of these were debated for several years. And then what happened to it? The answer to the rings is that there was a German 77 millimeter cannon that was on those rings, captured in France and placed into the United States. Now, I've gotten a little crosswise because I can't read close, but you know what I mean. For 20 years, it stayed in Pack Square, and people would see it and see this inscription. In the metal drive, the scrap metal drive of the Second World War, it was removed, sent into the scrap metal heap, melted down, and sent back to Germany in the form of bombs. That's what happened to the cannon. But for 75 years after that, there was this blank space, this blank enigma. War is a bit of an enigma. Why do we fight? It's chaos. It's savage. It's bloody. And I am here today to speak in honor of all of you. Gold Star parents. Mayor Meinhammer, who used to clerk for my law firm when she was a young woman. She still is a young woman, by the way. Allan has asked me to speak primarily about Vietnam because of the 50th anniversary since the war actually ended and the embassy in Saigon was evacuated. And I'm going to try to honor those people. I'm also going to try to honor all of you. And I'm going to speak a bit of service and camaraderie and hope. My Vietnam was a savage, bloody place. Because of the war, civilization as I knew it was suspended. And I served with Company M, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines. One of those Marines is here today, Jeff Showers. He's sitting on the second row. He just raised his hand. Jeff and I saw hard, bloody, awful times together. We served for each other, as did all of the Marines in my company. And my company was decorated in the time that we served with a Presidential Unit Citation, 2 Meritorious Unit Commendations, 4 Campaign Stars on the Vietnam Service Medal, the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry with Bronze Star, and the Vietnamese Civil Action Ribbon with Bronze Star. We've been there. We got the creds of combat. What I'm going to talk about is a little bit of something else. In August '69, I was at the Navy Hospital in Portsmouth, Virginia, recovering from wounds. My uncle was the newspaper editor there in Norfolk. And he invited me to lunch with a couple of, 3 actually, significant people in the area. One was the former editor and a Pulitzer Prize winner of the newspaper. Another was a former college president, university president, I should say. And the third was a retired Marine Major General. I had lunch with these guys, and right after lunch, we were joined by an insurance executive. He had also served, and he invited all of us to go to the MacArthur Memorial, the Douglas MacArthur Memorial in Norfolk. As we entered, there was a wall of maps of World War I battlefields. I want you to think about these old men and the camaraderie of them. The newspaper editor, in a palsied hand, pointed to an area of the map and said, "I was a first lieutenant in the infantry with the Army here." The college president raised his hand and pointed to the other side of this area. I flew with the Lafayette Escadrille and I crashed my plane here. The third one, the insurance executive, went up to the Belleauwood battlefield and said, "I was crossing the wheat field and I was shot here." And there was silence. And these 3 old men, significant men, grown-ups, were experiencing that bond, that uncanniness, that specialness that comes from serving together in the First World War. Walking out of the museum, I stopped with the insurance executive and I thanked him. He said that he was wounded on June 16th, 1918 at Belleauwood. I told him that we had something in common. I asked him if he knew about Shakespeare's Henry V and the Band of Brothers. And he said, sort of, but not exactly. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers, for he who sheds his blood with me today shall be my brother. And then I told him, you, sir, and I were both Marines and both in combat and both wounded on June 16th, only 51 years and half a world apart. Mr. Hagan was his name, and I corresponded for years after that on June 16th until his death. That's the bond of serving. The two nonprofit organizations which I have represented as attorney, and it is a great pride to me to represent these organizations. One is the North Carolina Veterans Riding Alliance. That was the brainchild of Steve Henderson and Bruce Kelly, who is sitting in the back of the room here. The other is the North Carolina Veterans Treatment Court, which was the brainchild of Judge Marvin Pope, and I have looked for Marvin here, but I don't see him. Both of these treat veterans. The Riding Alliance treated veterans that did not seem to have much luck with therapy involving antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications. He heard of a writing program in Washington, D.C. He invited me to lunch. I had lunch with him. He told me about the program and he asked about financing. I helped finance it, but I also told him, you know, the curious thing about this is about a week ago, I received from my old radio man, Donnie Young, who lives by himself in South Georgia on a lake because he doesn't like crowds, a handwritten book, loose leaf, of his poetry. And it is therapy for him. I told Bruce about it. Bruce borrowed the book, and I think it helped establish the Veterans Riding Alliance. Their first program of 27, I think, graduates, people that had been closed up and alienated from society before, all came out. They wrote, they had a cohesion. They were together. They were units. They were veterans together. That group has now written 4 books. That group has performed all over the state and in other states. That group has attracted songwriters from Nashville, Tennessee to write songs. That group has had Steve Henderson doing a dancing jig on a stage. They've saved veterans. The treatment court is a non-incarcerating alternative diversion for all types of offenses, mainly for veterans who have had alcoholism or addictive behaviors, and it's been successful. They have 78 graduates now that are now productive members of society. Both of these organizations heal the physical, moral, emotional, and spiritual wounds of service and have saved veterans' lives. They are healing programs. Now, I've got a few guys. Steve, I want you to stand up, and Ron Toller and Bruce, I want all of you to stand up. If Marvin is here, I want him to stand up. These gentlemen deserve our applause. Thank you. Thank you all. Finally, I want to speak just briefly of hope. The two nonprofits offer hope to veterans, veterans helping veterans. Is that somebody's stomach back there? Wars are fought for various purposes. Anti-communism, national independence of foreign nations, terrorism, other purposes. But in a way, each of these conflicts is fought for something else. It's fought for hope. Hope for freedom and independence. Hope for a better world. Those of us who fought in Vietnam fought against the spread of communism. We did our duty serving this nation. When we returned home, we were damned by our generation and others. We were called killers, dopeheads, anti-American, criminals, assassins, and worse. We were thrown at, demeaned, ostracized, shunned, set apart. Our country was divided, broken by Vietnam and the war. Some veterans joined Veterans Against the War. Many of us would not, could not. Some of those that didn't believe in the war that we could have won. Others, myself included, because I would not betray the men that I served in combat like Jeff Showers. 50 years ago, the war ended and communism won. For the next 15 years, there were various purges and re-education prisons and all sorts of things, including moving the agrarian population into farming communes. The communes didn't work. In 1990, the gross domestic product per capita in Vietnam was $123 per person. Communist farms failed. Peasant farmers were returned to their ancestral lands. Government-private enterprises started. A type of capitalism began. Trading increased. Countries like Japan, South Korea, Australia, and the U.S. all invested in Vietnam. A few years ago, I returned to Vietnam. There are skyscrapers in Da Nang and Saigon. The ones in Saigon, they call it Ho Chi Minh. They still call it Saigon. It's supposed to be Ho Chi Minh City. But everybody in the country still calls it Saigon. Good. They have schools. They've got a subway built by the Japanese. They've got hospitals and clinics built by the South Koreans. Our guide said, South Korea, number 1. North Korea, number 10. Now, it was just the opposite during the war. But South Korea invested in the hospitals and clinics, and they are doing business there. Bana Mountain. I'm closing with this. Bana Mountain, some of you will remember Bana from being near Da Nang. It had an elevation of about 4,000 feet, which is very nice for that area. There was a radio relay station manned by recon there during the Vietnam War. Today, it's an Oriental Disneyland with a ski lift going up and cartoon characters running all over the place. And Happy Valley, I fought in Happy Valley. Mike fought in Happy Valley. Happy Valley is now the Happy Valley Golf Course with homes around it. The gross per capita domestic product in Vietnam last year was nearly $5,000 per person, and the literacy rate is over 96%. The war is over, my guide said. We are friends. And so we are. Time heals. Big Macs, Whoppers, Fords, and Chevrolets are sold in Vietnam. The country has the most beautiful beaches in Asia, and there are American hotels all around. There is religious freedom. Buddhists, Kaldai, Muslims, Jews, Christians, and other religions are allowed. During my visit there, I found the knoll where my radio man tripped a booby trap, blowing off his foot, wounding my machine gun squad leader in the head, and stitching me from ankle to ear with shrapnel. There is now a chapel on that knoll named Unity Church, built in 1998 on the knoll where I was wounded and those other 2 Marines were wounded. The war's over. And that knoll is the hope of our war in Vietnam. Thank all of you for your service, and Godspeed to each of you, and I apologize for talking too long.
Thank you, John Mason, for that journey back to Vietnam. Some of us have not gone back. You have gone back. And also, thank you for your service. We will have next Linda White, who wrote a song dedicated to a Gold Star family member who lost her son in Vietnam. Ann Atkins is the Gold Star mother. The song is dedicated to Matthew. Linda White, would you honor our stage?
Good morning. So a couple years ago, I met up with Steve Henderson and I've been writing songs based on stories and information that members of brothers and sisters like these share with me, and then I write songs. And the song you're going to hear today is a song called Gold Star Families, and it's based on the story that Ann Atkins shared with me about her son. Matthew was a soldier who was killed in Iraq in 2007. He was a child brought into this world with the smell of wildflower honey. He played with toy soldiers and his teddy bear while he watched the History Channel, aging into a handsome young man, and with a love for his family and country. 9/11 had a deep impact, and he signed up for the army. He was in foreign land where danger was real, with car bombs and snipers nearby, while watching for the Salute the Gold Star families, recognize their pain. Salute the Gold Star families, mourning the ones they lost. It was his destiny to do what was right, to be sure that we have freedom. All those who grieve will endure their loss, and with pride they'll lift their heads high. For his honor and his courage to protect us, knowing risk of death was high. Salute the Gold Star families, recognize their pain. Salute the Gold Star families, mourning the ones they lost. Thank you. Welcome home, all.
Thank you, Linda. Our hearts are with you. Okay, next, brothers and sisters like these, the writing group you've been hearing about, was birthed here in the basement 12 years ago with the help of Dr. Kelly and Joseph Batante. So this group writes to heal psychological wounds of war and their experiences in the military. So first we'll have Wallace Bohannon, United States Army, Vietnam, who will read a story about his experiences. Wallace.
Okay, you hear me? Good, all right. Yeah, I'm Wallace Bohannon, and U.S. Army. I was in Vietnam from 1966 to 1967. I joined the Army early, right out of high school. I saw the Vietnam War coming down, and I said, I'm going to avoid that war by joining the Army. I'll get in, I'll be out before the war starts. All right. Okay, so my last year, I was in Germany, and I said, I want to go back to the States. I'm an E4, I can, make it. Go to the NCO club and all that stuff. So they gave me orders, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. So I get to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, about 3 or 4 of us in a taxi. I'm the last one let out. All the way past all the nice barracks, and I end up at a World War II barrack. Nobody was there but the guys in personnel. And they said, oh, I see you came across the pond. I said, yeah. And they said, well, we're getting ready to go back across a bigger pond. And I said, what? Yeah, so I ended up in Vietnam with an attitude. That's another story. I was a personnel specialist, and I ended up on a 175 millimeter big gun. Yeah, loading ammo. So let me tell you about my experience. called The Ultimate Sacrifice. We were sitting atop a sandbag bunker at a hot, dusty fire base near Jiolin, Vietnam. The North Vietnam flag was fluttering in the distance. He was assigned to a double-barreled 40-millimeter anti-aircraft gun. His job was to load that twin 40 as fast as humanly possible. I was assigned to a 175-millimeter long-barreled artillery gun. My job was to help load 178-pound rounds onto that M107 cannon as quickly as we could. His expression was gloomy, his head held low. In his hand was a letter from home. He was not acting at all like the upbeat, inspiring soldier we all admired. Everyone that knew him smiled when his name was mentioned. We would stand a little taller, feel a little prouder whenever he was in our presence. The letter was from his girlfriend back home in Washington, D.C. Every one of us at that fire base on the DMZ longed to get home to our loved ones. His dearest one had just informed him that she had found another, and would not be there for him when he returned. I thought his girlfriend could have kept that to herself. I encouraged him to put the sad news behind him, and so did many of the other combatants on our fire base. Our love and caring for a fellow soldier eventually brought his upbeat spirit back, and he carried on as best he could in the combat zone. A little over a month later, there was a fierce firefight about 10 clicks from our fire base. An ambush involving lots of machine gun fire and explosives. When reinforcements arrived to end the battle, they found his body was riddled with bullets. They stopped counting at 13. Survivors said he kept calling for more ammo and kept putting those 40-millimeter shells downrange. Like so many of our soldiers who paid the ultimate price for our freedom, here in the United States of America, he persevered through hardship and heartache because he loved his fellow soldiers and he loved his country. I want to honor his sacrifice today, 58 years after he gave his life on the battlefield. I want to honor him by being the best human I can be. I want to honor him by refusing to give in to depression or moody mental states. And I want to honor him by continuing to write and read my stories about my time at war in Vietnam. Thank you.
Thanks, Wallace. Thanks for honoring a fallen soldier for the Vietnam War. Okay, for some of us medics who served in Vietnam, there were doctors that we served with. And you know, we never hear from doctors, but I worked with them. They were courageous, they saved lives, and we are fortunate to have one of those doctors be part of our group. Jerry Nieders, MD, Bronze Star for heroism ×2, Silver Star ×2. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jerry Nieders.
You'll be glad that I'm at the end here, and mine won't take that long because I've been given a time limit. I, like most Vietnam vets, well, for that matter, most vets, the most common thing you hear, they never talk about it. Why? There's a reason. I didn't talk about it for 40 years. Thanks to Steve, Ron, I started in the writing group. It's a very, very emotional group because, you see, when you talk about it, you don't talk about it, you relive it. And the mind is a great thing. When a very, very traumatic event happens, your mind puts your emotions on the back shelf. This allows you to perform the tasks that are needed at the time. But those emotions are not forgotten. They're there. And when they come back in vivid color. My experience in Vietnam was twofold. I was first, as a surgeon, assigned to a 400-bed evacuation hospital. And then I went to the field and was a battalion surgeon for the 2nd 39th 9th Infantry in the Mekong Delta. I was both a participant and an observer, which was a rather unique experience. Allan asked me to write about some of those experiences, and I kind of did, but it's a little different too. So this is from the writing group, but it's also from me. I'm an Army veteran. I was drafted, sent to Vietnam as a GMO 2 months after I completed my internship in 1967 at the age of 25. GMO, by the way, is Army talk for General Medical Officer. I am not a genetically modified organism. My first assignment was, as I just mentioned, as a surgeon in a 400-bed evacuation hospital. Patching up the wounded led to tremendous ambivalent feelings. I liked the fact that I was healing their wounds, but I hated the fact that I was discharging them back into the meat grinder of battle. Maybe the next time they wouldn't be so lucky. After 6 months, I was reassigned to a 400-man infantry battalion in the Mekong Delta as their battalion surgeon. As such, I was also CO of a platoon of medics, as well as the doctor for 400 infantrymen. I had to assign a medic to each infantry platoon. I was the old man of a platoon of teenagers. They were like my own kids. I lost 6 of them. And it really hurt. It still does. one in particular hurt more than any, because I was told he had a baby he had not seen. And he was kind of like me, because I had a son who I didn't see until he was 6 months old. Let's fast forward now, 16 years. In 1984, I stood in front of the Vietnam Memorial in Washington. The wall has great significance for us Vietnam veterans. Most of us hold dear at least one name on that large subterranean polished piece of granite. For it is truly a memorial for individuals. Many of us are both attracted to it and repulsed by it. We want to go to it, but we don't because of the emotions we're afraid that will come flooding back. Yes, to visit it would be great, but the pain might even be greater. In fact, too great, so we don't go. In the spring of 1984, I went to the wall to find one of those names. I approached the directory. The names on the wall are listed as to the day of death. The directory is listed alphabetically and gives the panel and the line where that name can be found. I found the name, and I just started to cry. I couldn't go any further. I just had to leave. 6 months later, I again made the 400-mile trip to Washington. Again, I looked up the name and started to walk to the wall. When I got to the entrance to the wall, again, I started to cry, and I couldn't go any further. I walked along the top of the wall, and then once again, went home. What started as a want now became a necessity. It became a need. I had to return. On a very early and a very cold and snowy Sunday morning, January the 26th, 1986, I once again stood at the entrance of the wall. In the pre-dawn, early, dim light, there was only one other person faintly visible along the opposite wing of the wall. All my prerequisites had been met. It was quiet, it was still, and except for one person, I was alone. I was by myself. The gently falling snow muffled most sounds. So why was I just standing there, unable to move forward? As the pre-dawn early light increased, I needed to act. I needed to move. This was the place, and this was the time. I started to walk slowly down the gently decreasing slope until I got to panel 60. I stopped and turned, faced it, and looked at line 5. Clifford Stapleton. I began to cry, and cry, and cry. Unashamed, because there was no one there other than the one other person, and the snow muffled my crying. I don't know how long I stood there, but I was startled when I felt someone tapping me on the shoulder. It was the man at the other end of the wall, and he asked me, "Are you all right?" I simply pointed to the name, and I cried until I ran out of tears. So why do Vietnam veterans not visit the wall? For the same reason they don't talk about their experiences. It simply hurts too much. Thank you.
Jerry, thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for taking care of us. Let's give these three veterans, John Mason, Wallace, Jerry, a hand for reading their stories, sharing their heart, and also give them a well-deserved welcome home. I'd like to tell you there will be a showing of a documentary, We Lift Each Other, at AB Tech Ferguson Auditorium at 2:30. It's a powerful documentary. We invite folks to go over there if you feel like experiencing what the Brothers and Sisters does with the Veteran Treatment Court and the Black Box Theater, 2:30. Okay, sorry about I missed you guys in the early one, but the Men in Harmony will sing Mansions of the Lord, okay? Thank you. They will also sing Irish Blessings.
May the wind be always
Thank you, Men in Harmony. There's veterans in the group. Will the veterans acknowledge themselves? All right. Thank you for your service. Again, we'd like to thank Charles George, who's an excellent partner in what we do in the veteran community in Western North Carolina. So thank you for hosting today for this ceremony. It's been very moving. We appreciate all those folks that participated, and we hope to see you next Veterans Day. Be safe out there, take care, and take Godspeed. Thank you.